What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of WagmiTV. The fellows are back this week, and we got a great episode lined up for you. Today, we're going to be going in depth into Coinbase. So, Coinbase has actually been making a lot of moves lately, and what we wanted to do an episode that focuses really on, what they're doing, give you guys an update on all the latest news, and dive into what it means for the broader crypto ecosystem. So, we'll start off today by talking about the latest news here. Coinbase actually got a Bermuda license and is planning to launch an offshore exchange in the coming weeks. So obviously, big news here. This comes obviously in light of the fact that the SEC has been targeting lots of crypto firms in the United States at the moment, namely Coinbase at the top of that list. And Coinbase has been really trying to figure out what the guidance is from the regulatory perspective, and they've actually warned that a lot of crypto innovation and crypto companies will actually start leaving the United States because of this. So definitely interesting timing when it comes to that. Curious to get your guys' thought on what you guys think this means for Coinbase and for crypto in general.
Well, I think that first of all, the SEC can kind of dictate what's going to happen, right? So I think that that's where like the initial fear comes from, and especially with like the XRP case and everything that's going down there, the delayed decision there. I think a lot of people are worried that they're actually going to rule against XRP, and I think it's honestly a smart move getting ahead of it. Even though obviously offshore always has a kind of uniquely shady connotation, I think that it's a smart move because this is really the only way that the crypto economy has a way to push back against the SEC, saying, "Hey, we're going to take the money elsewhere." That's really the only lever you have to pull against an organization like the SEC. So I think it's cool that they're doing it. But I'm curious to see if it actually creates like a mass exodus of crypto companies from the U.S.
Yeah, and I think something we've started to see with Coinbase is they want to look elsewhere for more consistent revenue in their business. When you look at, their current revenue, I think they're pulling about 50% from what they call subscriptions, which are really these services. And so they've started to move away from these trading fees as their main source of revenue and look elsewhere. This is something where we could see them really pulling a lot of revenue from further trading fees on that side, but maybe also other products that they have. And, like Sia said, the SEC just really hasn't given the proper guidance for how this could be created in the States, or if it could even be created in the States. And so, this is them taking that step saying, hey, we just don't have the proper guidance that we need right now. Let's take the proper steps to just be able to set this up outside of the US. And, I think it's a good move for them. I think it's a good move for their business and, bringing in other streams of revenue when you look down the line.
Yeah, I think those are both of honestly the main points, right? One is this kind of like a warning shot to say, hey, look at what you're doing, SEC. Make sure you're reevaluating kind of what this looks like. I know we always kind of compare crypto to like the .com era and making sure we're really embracing innovation. So maybe it's a shot from that perspective. But then, of course, from the business side as well, I think it makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, this is one of the larger if not the largest, right, exchange in the United States right now. So why not start to expand that outwards and try to get a little bit more market share outside of the United States, especially given everything that's going on with the U.S. right now and the SEC and regulation kind of being a little bit close to chest when it comes to clarity and transparency. So I think both of those are fantastic points, and I don't think either. I don't think there's necessarily it can necessarily be looked at as a bad move from either perspective. So I think it's a really exciting news, interesting news. Curious to see how the SEC is going to handle that.
Yeah, definitely. And like when we think about alternate revenue streams, one of the things that I know we've covered on the show is this concept of what's becoming really popular is these like perpetuals futures exchanges, which allow you to basically like lever up and trade Bitcoin without actually taking like any spot exposure whatsoever, and really just be exposed to the price on like a levered basis. And those are products that are not, compliant within the United States. So I'd be curious to see if they start offering that now that they have this, license in Bermuda, as we know, from GMX and some of these other perpetuals exchanges, and obviously Binance to begin with. Those products are extremely popular for institutional and retail traders worldwide. So something to keep an eye on as this story kind of progresses. The next thing we wanted to get into is something that, has been already, in the news a little bit, but we wanted to kind of deep dive into it. And that's, the news that Coinbase is actually planning on launching their own L2 blockchain called Base. And so, I'll throw it over to Mata to kind of give a rundown over what Base is. And then, we'll kind of discuss what this means for crypto in general.
Yeah, so Base is essentially going to serve essentially as the on-chain home for Coinbase, right? So it'll be a bridge that brings users on-chain, enables them to go anywhere, including L1s, L2s, ecosystems like Bitcoin, Solana, etc. Right? So I think in taking a step back, the question really becomes, what is an L2? And so for those that don't know, a layer 2 network really operates on top of an underlying blockchain protocol. So in this case, right, Ethereum, often Ethereum when we're talking about L2s. And it really processes transactions off of the Ethereum mainnet, which is a layer 1, right? Which is why we then refer to this as a layer 2. That obviously results in a number of benefits to developers and customers, things like improved scalability, improved efficiency, increased transaction speeds, reduced gas fees, and of course, security, right? When you're kind of latching yourself onto, a very secure layer 1, especially something like Ethereum. So really what they're trying to do here is offer a really secure, really low cost, developer friendly way for anyone, anywhere to start to build decentralized apps. And their goal, as they kind of state all over their web pages, is to onboard 1 billion plus users into the crypto economy. So something that we can all get behind. We always talk about, one of the first groups to actually really push the space forward is going to be making that transition from a Web 2 to a Web 3 organization being very, very seamless. So I think that's kind of the direction that Coinbase is trying to go with this, try to make everything very seamless, very simple, very easy for everybody to, handle all these things. But anything else you all would add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing to note here is that they're actually in partnership with this L2, their own L2 called Base. They're actually in partnership with Optimism. And so, they're using the Optimism tech stack to be able to do this. And I think Evan probably has the best idea of what that actually means. Ev, can you hop in and give us a little rundown on what that actually means?
Yeah, so that's a good call out. So they're using the OP stack, which is the Optimism open source stack of technology that's used to power the Optimism blockchain, which is another layer 2. And yeah, really what they're doing is they're becoming the second core developer on that platform, which, Optimism's already a really strong team, but when you bring in the development effort of Coinbase, you could see how this could really further, what we're seeing in the L2 space. And so, back to kind of what Mata was saying, this feels like a Web 2 playbook where you're creating a platform like a layer 2 for developers to build applications on top of and kind of create an application economy that we see within the, iPhone app store, the Android app store, really allowing devs to come into the ecosystem, have those, potentially seamless on and off ramps that we're seeing between Coinbase and the Base L2. And you really never know like what type of experiences those devs can bring to the ecosystem. So I think it's huge from the perspective that they're partnering, like you're saying, Zoe, with a super successful project in Optimism, already a market leader, potentially adding more. I think I saw that they're going to bring account abstraction to their blockchain sooner than maybe Ethereum would. So you could see how that would increase what's available to users, earlier than maybe what you might find in an L1. But then also, with the onboarding of and the usage of the Coinbase app, you can see how those on and off ramps are even more seamless than before. So, you're kind of getting the best of both worlds in that sense. And I think it's pretty interesting. I'm excited. I know they have the test network out right now as of February 23rd. They haven't released the main net, but it should be coming soon. So, that's definitely something to watch out for here in the near future.
Yeah, I think what's really unique about this, and what I'm curious to see is a lot of the popular layer twos to this point. Really, the only network effect they can feed off of is Ethereum, right? Because Ethereum's the second most well known cryptocurrency out there. So building on top of that with a layer two, you obviously get some network effect and notoriety just building on top of it. But projects like Arbitrum, Polygon, a lot of these layer twos have essentially built brands by themselves at standalone, over the last 5-ish years, maybe 7 years for some of the older ones. But Coinbase already has such an established brand that it's going to be interesting to see a double up of a network effect from obviously building on top of Ethereum being an L2, and then also having the Coinbase brand behind it in terms of what that looks like for adoption, because that's the biggest question when you're building a new L2. It's like, why would someone use you over Polygon or over Arb, right? So I think that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's really all going to be about that execution and how seamless that is, right? Because now they're going to be an exchange. They obviously have a wallet. They're going to have this L2 that'll be all on chain for them. I know they have like an NFT platform as well, right? I don't know if I haven't been super up to date on that. I don't know how well they're doing on that front. So, we could be kind of saying the same things for that. Like, why would you use this NFT platform versus like an OpenSea, right? Or something like that. So I would love to see how they kind of compared on that front to see if it would be any bit of a different of an outcome for kind of what they're trying to do here. I think at the end of the day, right, if they can make it pretty seamless for your average, user, I think that's going to go a long way.
I think one more thing, just really quick to add on to that, is something that you see in the mobile space is how difficult it can be to connect your wallet to some websites or get that seamless experience. And that's something that I know Coinbase does with their own app, is they essentially have a browser within that you can connect your Coinbase wallet. And so I don't think it's probably going to happen, but you could see from that experience how almost building a new browser application for Coinbase could be their best way forward, because they're totally controlling the experience for the user. And like we've said, they are the easiest on and off ramp for US users. They have a pretty solid Coinbase self-custodial, wallet extension. And then when you mix in the L2 here, they're really controlling all aspects of the user experience. Something that we preach in the past is whoever can do that will be really successful in this space. So it feels like they're slowly starting to accumulate, the different assets that are needed to like fully control that customer experience there.
Absolutely. And like once they have this L2 launched, the more dApps that they can get over to using Base and to being deployed on Base, that's only going to kind of further this idea of kind of like the App Store type idea, right? I think that's a really interesting way of looking at it, and something that I'm personally going to be really dialed in and just looking forward to, because you're completely right. If they can, if somebody is able to go onto Coinbase, buy Ethereum, send it to their wallet immediately, and then go and use these applications with that Ethereum or with the stable coins or with whatever, all in a one-stop shop, all within the Coinbase application, all of a sudden you've solved a lot of the user experience issues that we see today, where you have to go to an exchange and then you have to go to your wallet and then the wallet has to go to a different dApp, right? If you can do it all in one spot, that will be, I think, a huge step forward for the entire industry. And so that's something that I personally, I'm rooting for them. I hope for the sake of the industry that somebody is able to figure this out. And it seems like they're hopefully on their way to doing so. So obviously a lot of work still to be done, but the boys here on WagMe will be having a pulse on the entire situation as it develops. So thanks for tuning in. If you found any of this useful, make sure to like, comment, subscribe down below, and we'll see you next week here on WagmiTV. Peace.